What if I told you that the UAE will never be the same again, even if this war ends? What is the fate of the UAE? Is Trump actually planning today to occupy Abu Musa Island, which the UAE has claimed? And what are the latest developments on this Lebanese front? Because there is some interesting talk, honestly, a lot of talk about divisions within the Lebanese army and about them joining the fight alongside Hezbollah. How is that possible? We'll discuss this today. We'll take a break and return soon. Stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. Welcome to today's episode of our ongoing series, Opinion, where we always focus on the latest developments in this war taking place in the Middle East between Iran and the Epstein Alliance. It is clear today, dear viewers, that American preparations to launch a ground operation in Iran are still ongoing. Despite all the strange statements, the consistent and contradictory remarks made by American President Trump from time to time, almost every hour. And what's strange today, dear viewers, and we've talked about this in all our previous episodes, what's strange is that all the indicators today say it's impossible for there to be a landing of American infantry forces, a ground landing I mean, in Iran, unless Trump wants to get rid of these forces, wants to send them to their doom, wants to push America into catastrophic scenarios that could lead to the collapse of the America we've known for many decades. So today, in reality, America doesn't have the necessary forces to invade Iran on a large scale. If America wanted to invade Iranian territory, it would need a force made up of at least 1 million soldiers. Some reports have said that America would need 3 or 4 million soldiers. Why? Because the Iranian army is also a 1 million-strong army, and it has tremendous capabilities to form new forces if necessary. Today, in Iran, the number of people who have registered in a volunteer campaign to defend Iran has reached more than 5 million volunteers today. More than 5 million. The Chechen Muslim army has officially announced that it will intervene to defend Iran if there is a ground military intervention by America. Everyone knows, of course, the strength of this Chechen army and also the strong ideology it possesses. Add to that, there are Afghan forces and there are also Iraqi forces who said they are ready to join this war in defense of Iran. So, honestly, a ground invasion is completely out of the question, because America's end would come at the hands of Iran then. So even if we assume that America needs only 1 million soldiers, or even if we say 500,000 soldiers, that's not easy. America today is incapable. It knows that a ground war in Iran would be a graveyard for American soldiers. It would cost America tens or hundreds of thousands of dead and wounded. A very large drain on American military capabilities, and these capabilities are needed today more than ever. And let's not forget that the American Congress also rejects this war. In less than a month, they will issue a decision to stop this war. The legal period that allows any president in America to send American troops to war without Congress's approval is limited to only 2 months. After that, if Congress rejects this war, there is an additional month as a grace period to withdraw these troops. This means we're talking about 3 months, of which more than a month has already passed. Therefore, there is no possibility of a large-scale ground invasion of Iranian territory. This would require a very long time, maybe just to mobilize these troops, enough troops, and then years of fighting. Therefore, President Trump made a statement yesterday saying that he will withdraw from this war, but now is not the right time for that. Today, even if we talk about landing American troops on these islands, like Karg Island or these islands overlooking the Strait of Hormuz or others, Trump will be forced to make this operation very quick. It has to be a swift operation only, because there is absolutely no time to spare. And because every hour these forces spend on these islands will be an hour of hell, they will be under fire from Iranian forces, which means there will be a very high risk of losing a large number of American soldiers. So the clear thing today is that if this military operation is really coming, of course it will only happen with the participation of other foreign forces, other non-American forces, to replace these American forces. And it will not be what everyone is talking about today, not at all. Because when we closely review the events of this war today, we find that the only country in the region that can help the Americans in this matter is the UAE. And the UAE, as everyone knows, says that it has 3 islands occupied by the Iranians. Abu Musa Island, which is about 60 kilometers away from the UAE, then Greater Tunb and Lesser Tunb Islands, which are about 75 kilometers away from the UAE. The UAE says that these islands are Emirati and officially demands them. So today we find that the biggest victim, the country most affected by this war, is the UAE, this country. I mean, we can say it's over. It will never be the same again. Even if this war stops, the UAE will never go back to how it was. And he is ignorant of politics, ignorant of international trade, or even things like being a tax haven for companies or anything like that at all. Through this war, Iran has destroyed everything the UAE has built in terms of security and media over decades. I mean, starting this year and in the coming days, Iran might even start destroying the UAE's infrastructure, because what's coming is very dangerous for the UAE. Today, all the indicators say that it's for the sake of... It's impossible for the American army to carry out any landing of its forces on Karg Island or on Keshem Island or others, due to the very close proximity of these islands to the Iranian coast. Therefore, President Trump believes that the only thing left for him, if he wants to achieve any kind of victory, even if it's an imaginary one, is to help the UAE occupy these islands that it claims. And especially the most important of these islands, Abu Musa Island. This island is located in the middle, at the same distance between Iran and the UAE. So today, something is clear. The important thing is that there is a plan for the UAE to reclaim these 3 islands, or one of them, with air support from American forces. So, according to the plan, once American forces take control of one of these 3 islands, America will not withdraw from it. Out of fear of missile strikes, they leave the defensive tasks to the Emirati forces, and of course, this might include providing them with air cover and other support. And the Emirati army is known to be made up of different nationalities. Maybe they have real Emiratis in the military leadership, but the soldiers are Yemenis, Indians, Bengalis, Egyptians, and so on. So even if they are pushed into danger, it doesn't really concern the Emiratis themselves. And of course, that's if they don't resort to using mercenary forces like the Sudanese militias or others. So the important thing is, this is the plan that Trump has left now, just so he can find something to promote as a victory. But the dangerous thing here, if this scenario actually happens, is what will be the fate of the UAE then? How will Iran respond then? Iran has said it repeatedly that any attack on these islands will be considered an act of aggression by these Gulf countries. That means the response at that time will be directed at these countries, it will be directly against the UAE, and this raises a big question about the fate of the UAE then. If the UAE is now suffering from Iranian strikes from time to time, what would happen if it got directly and openly involved in this war? Can we just say goodbye to the UAE then? And the problem is that everything in this country is exposed. It's a very small country, all flat desert land, and on top of that, there are these towers, skyscrapers, and the palaces of the ruling family. Today, all of Trump's statements and those of the Secretary of Defense, Hegseth or someone else, they are talking as if they are going to withdraw from this war soon, that the countries in the region should defend themselves. We are paying close attention to these statements, and we are also aware that Iran knows this plan very well. That's why, if everyone noticed, Iran in recent days has been focusing its strikes on the logistical means that could be used in any ground landing operation. And they were targeting the bunkers where American army personnel are present in the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, just like what's being discussed today. And yesterday, there was also talk about successfully targeting new bunkers, including bunkers that house 200 American military officers in the UAE. We also see that President Trump, since the beginning of this war, has been extending the deadline for opening the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the American objective is clear, just to open the Strait of Hormuz. So, there was a new deadline set to end on April 6th. And Trump always says that there are negotiations with the Iranians happening now, while the Iranians to this day say there are no negotiations at all. Trump also says that the negotiations are going very well. Then we also see him talking about victories. Almost every day he comes out and says that America has won, that the Iranian regime is collapsing, that Iran is asking for negotiations. At the same time, he comes out and says that Iran must accept negotiations, or else, as he said today, he will send them back to the Stone Age. Then he says that the Iranian regime has changed, and that today there is a new regime in Iran that is aligned with America. So, there is a lot of confusion, there are massive contradictions in all of Trump's statements. Almost every hour, there is a statement or a tweet that completely contradicts what came before. So what is certain today is that Trump is preparing to announce the withdrawal from this war, but how will the withdrawal happen? Will it amount to an achievement he can present as a victory in this war? Therefore, I think this will be considered an achievement. And the occupation of Abu Musa Island will probably be the last military operation in which America demonstrates its power and then withdraws afterwards. Because Trump has failed, he has failed miserably. He failed to involve all the countries in the region in this war, failed to convince Azerbaijan, failed to convince the Kurds, failed to convince Saudi Arabia, and even failed to convince Netanyahu. Israel dragged America into this war, and in the end, when Trump asked them for ground forces, Israel refused, claiming that they were conducting a ground war in Lebanon. Today, Trump has no one left but the UAE. The UAE that might be tempted by the promise of regaining those islands it claims are occupied by Iran and so on. And this military operation could begin with, as I said, multinational forces. Speaking of this war in Lebanon today, there are very interesting developments because the situation is quickly heading toward changes that will ultimately lead to the disappearance of this entity. The last speech was by Netanyahu, in which he reviewed Israel's achievements in the region. He said that Israel has changed the face of the Middle East and that Israel has currently established 3 security belts. He said that in Syria, he created a security belt that extends from the summit of Mount Hermon to the Yarmouk River, and he said that in Gaza, he created a security belt that divides the territory of the Gaza Strip into 2 equal halves. That means now in Lebanon, he has given orders to occupy the entire south of Lebanon up to the Litani River. So it's clear that Israel will not give up these buffer zones, meaning that 3 areas will remain under Israeli occupation. We might even see new settlements being built in these areas. This is exactly Israel's plan today. And here, dear viewers, pay close attention. Ever since this entity entered the region, the area has been suffering. This region, as everyone knows, is a blessed area with great blessings. Throughout history, this region has been known for its wealth, abundance, blessings, and so on. You wouldn't have found poor people or anything like that in the region. Lebanon, for example, was called the Switzerland of the East because the country used to live in safety and prosperity. But when this entity came, problems began in the region. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were displaced and went to Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and Gaza. That's where the suffering began. It's well known that from the womb of suffering, great and strong men are born. These are the men we see today in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Syria, and maybe even in Jordan as well. This has always been known. Displacement gives rise to great men. Even when Muslims were expelled from Andalusia and the rugged mountains in northern Morocco, the people of Jabala and the Rif and others, they have always been strong men as well. So when we talk about Lebanon, this country has experienced 5 attacks from Israel. In 1978, in 1982, in 2006, in 2024, and now this year. All of these created suffering that produced strong men. Today, more than 600,000 people are being displaced from southern Lebanon. So what's new today, dear viewers, is that with every advance of the Israeli army in southern Lebanon, the Lebanese army withdraws. The Lebanese army says it is redeploying and repositioning, but in reality, it is withdrawing out of fear of confrontation. It does not want to face the Israeli army, so it withdraws from all these towns. Every day, every single day, there is a withdrawal. This withdrawal, dear viewers, is causing great anger among the Lebanese people. They are saying, why does this army even exist if it is unable to protect us from this aggression, especially the residents of these towns? They are saying, how can it withdraw and leave our homes and properties in the hands of the Israelis? But the important thing today, dear viewers, is that the situation is creating a lot of anger even among members of the Lebanese army, to the point that there is talk about major splits that will happen within the Lebanese army. If the orders to withdraw continue like this, there is a lot of discontent within the ranks. I mean, inside the Lebanese army, at any moment we might witness splits. These forces joining Hezbollah, so we are talking about an army made up of more than 80,000 soldiers. Maybe it really is a weak army. It doesn't have advanced military capabilities like planes, tanks, and so on. But at the very least, it has anti-armor weapons and RPGs, machine guns, and other light weapons. It will be able to resist and wage urban warfare, in which it has a lot of experience, this army. So today, the more the Israeli army advances, the more ambushes happen. And this will inevitably lead to divisions within the army, and any divisions will lead to major shifts in this war. At that point, Lebanon will no longer be as it is today. Everything will change in this country and in the region in general. Therefore, at that time, we might be talking about other scenarios related to decline. That's what we had for today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time. Subscribe.